We're live. We're going to discuss Subriel shrinks under the big lights. So, if you follow this channel, you know that I've been informing the people about Subriel Matias. And one of the things that I've always stated is there's no such thing as a boogeyman. So, this is the reason why I don't believe in boogeymen. But that doesn't mean that Subriel didn't earn the eyes and he didn't earn the respect of the public and the people who were covering Subriel. Because you have to take into account that to that point, he had earned the IBF title. He stopped 5 fighters in a row, in addition to, you know, and so that merits coverage. So everyone who was covering Subriel Matias noticed that the champions in his division were not saying his name at one point. So everyone is thinking to themselves, well, who has the IBF belt? So at that point, you look to see who has the IBF belt and you see a Subriel Matias, and you're like, how come none of these guys want to fight Subriel? So then you start looking at Subriel, you start looking up Subriel, and you start finding out this information about him. And so, because the other fighters weren't saying his name, a lot of the YouTube community took it upon themselves to say Subriel's name and then remind the people and inform the people that there's another champion here worth looking at. So that was one of the things that I took upon myself, was to make sure that we put Subriel's name out there. And it's not like he didn't deserve that. He earned that because he earned the IBF title. He defended the IBF title, and he was stopping guys, making guys quit. Now, the thing about it was, because all the YouTube channels had covered Subriel and started telling everyone how dangerous of a fighter he is, and explaining how all these other fighters were avoiding him, which we weren't making up, that put the spotlight on Subriel. Because for his fight with Liam Perot, everyone was going to be watching. Now, the downside to this is most people were watching Subriel for the first time because they want to see, is this guy as bad as the YouTubers have been saying? Is this guy as bad as advertised? And so everyone was watching him with the expectation of seeing him stop somebody and live up to the expectation. Unfortunately, for his showcase fight, the very first fight where he was going to be exposed to a large audience, he was fighting the toughest opponent of his career. Which brings me to a next point. I brought up how it was a bad selection for Subriel Matias in bad matchmaking. Not that he never should have fought Liam Perot, like some people try to make it, because, I don't want to insult people, but context matters. And the ability to understand what someone is saying without misrepresenting what they actually said matters. I never said Subriel shouldn't have fought Liam Perot. I never said that Liam Perot wasn't a good matchup for Subriel Matias. I'm saying the very first time you're introducing this guy to the public, after making a major signing him to the zone in Matchroom, you want to expose him to the public with an opponent that will allow him to show his talents, that would allow him to show why you signed him, that would allow him to gain the fan base. And then immediately after that fight, throw him in with Liam Perot. To me, it hurts your own bottom line to sign a Subriel Matias, announce to the world you signed this guy who's gaining steam, who's gaining momentum, and the very first time everyone tunes in to see this guy, he gets beat. It's like cutting off your nose to spite your face. Why would you do that? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. You could have put Subriel Matias on that card in Puerto Rico against someone he could have showcased his talents against, put Liam Perot on a co-main and let Liam Perot do his thing, and then announce to the world they were going to see that fight next. See, that would have been better, and that would have been more appropriate, in my opinion. Instead, Subriel was in a position where he had so much pressure on him from numerous sources. One, he's being built by the YouTube community as this guy who is indestructible, relentless, and knocks everyone out. Again, not by me. Go check the tapes. I already said I don't believe in boogeyman. Any fighter can get beat. I know this in all my years of experience watching boxing. What I clearly stated was that no one's saying his name, so I will say his name for them, and I will make sure that he is considered for these opportunities. Now, he had a segment of people building him as the boogeyman. Okay, cool. But he has the pressure now of living up to expectations. In addition to that, he just signed a new deal with Matchroom in the Zone. So now he has that going on in his mind, because I don't care what you say if you're being dishonest. If you sign a contract with a new big firm, or you sign to hire your first to represent your first high profile client in a trial, whatever, you feel the pressure to represent, because you know that you're about to do something that's going to impact your legacy. You're about to do something that's going to determine whether you're seen as a good lawyer or a bad lawyer. In this case, what Subriel was doing was, one, he had to live up to the expectations of the community, the boxing community, the YouTube community. People were pushing him. But then also he's a new signing to Matchroom, so now he has to live up to their expectations, and he has to prove that he's worthy of that contract. And then he's fighting in Puerto Rico. His first time in Puerto Rico in 5 years. So now he has to not only live up to all those expectations, but put on a show for Puerto Rico, which is another thing you can hop on to the pressure for Subriel Matias. So again, like as I was stating, for me, yes, you throw him in there in a showcase fight for Puerto Rico, get Puerto Rico on his side, allow him to get that first fight with Matchroom, that first fight where all the eyes are on him, out of his system, right? And then in the next fight, you match him with someone like Liam Perot. So again, I never said he shouldn't have fought Liam Perot. I have no issue with him fighting Liam Perot, and I think Liam Perot is a very good fighter. Pointed that out as well. But the issue is he's in there with Liam Perot now on top of all these other added pressures, and he shrinks. So from the very first round, when I saw him applying the pressure and not really throwing any punches, I'm thinking to myself, what is this? And he just looked more hesitant, more reserved. And sometimes, I don't know if you've been in a ring before, then you understand. But not only in the ring, but if you're a part of a profession where your performance is your brand, meaning what you do determines how much money you make, how you perform determines whether or not you're going to get clients. And then you understand that sometimes when the pressure is on, it can cause you to freeze. It can cause you to be more hesitant than you normally would be, because it's like, oh man, at some point, you're not just thinking freely. You're not just free flowing. You're thinking about the consequences of what happens if you don't do something right, where normally you would just be in cruise control doing your thing. But once you're in that high profile case, once all the cameras are flashing, once everything's on you, everything you do is magnified, because you know this is going to live forever. Like all my other great cases, all my other great arguments, are they going to pull the record to listen to that? Probably not. But no one's going to have to pull the record to listen to this closing argument I'm going to give, because it's going to be all over the news. It's going to be forced on people. So that changes the pressure. So with that being said, Subriel shrunk. He shrunk under the lights. And again, he's not the first. It happens. But one of the things that I'm seeing now is, Teofimo Lopez would destroy Subriel. Really? Teo. The same Teo who got beat by George Kambosos? George Kambosos. Now, Teofimo got beat by George Kambosos. Devin Haney taxed George Kambosos twice. And we just saw what Vasily Lomachenko did to George Kambosos. Yet, you guys arguing that Teo would beat Subriel would probably tell me that Teo can beat Devin and that he beat Vasily. Oh, he did beat Vasily. So there you go. Tio beat Vasily, but Vasily beats George Kambosos better because Tio didn't even beat him. So Vasily can beat George Kambosos. Tio didn't. So now what do we do with that? Triangle theories don't work in boxing. We go through this all the time. Cotto beat Mosley. Margarito beat Cotto. Then Mosley beat Margarito, although some people would say that's not a good comparison because Margarito cheated to beat Cotto. Okay, cool. George Foreman beat Frazier. Frazier beat Ali. Ali beat Foreman. We have these going on. Look at it. Joe Joyce beat Joseph Parker. Jane knocked out Joyce. And then Joseph Parker beat Jane. You can't say who will win these fights until they step in the ring. So we saw George Kambosos lose to, we saw Teofimo Lopez lose to George Kambosos. We saw Teofimo Lopez get dropped by Sandor Martin and then go on to be gifted a decision against Sandor Martin. We saw him struggle with Jermaine Ortiz. And again, I think Jermaine Ortiz beat Teofimo Lopez. He struggled to catch up to Jermaine Ortiz. He struggled to land clean punches on Jermaine Ortiz. And by the end, everyone made a smear campaign against boxing. Although you knew that's how Jermaine Ortiz was going to fight from the beginning. This isn't Jermaine Ortiz a scrub. It's the same Jermaine Ortiz who fought the same way and gave Vasily Lomachenko a tough fight. But okay, he's fortunate. Two fortunate decisions now for Teofimo Lopez that could have been 2 L's. Now he's fighting some dude with 7 losses, like Steve Claggett or something like that. Dude got 7 L's. So if Tio's so bad, he's dropping down to fighting someone with 7 L's. So let's not act like, oh, we just know Tio can beat Subriel because you watch him lose to a very tough, undefeated fighter in Liam Perot. Brings me to Devin Haney. We saw Devin Haney get dominated by Ryan Garcia, get beat by Ryan Garcia, dropped several times. Like I think 3 official, but really probably was like 5 times that Devin got dropped. Devin is most likely going to fight Sandor Martin next. The same dude who gave Tio all he can handle and drop Tio. Now, if coming off of this bad fight with Ryan Garcia, if Devin Haney goes in there and beats Sandor Martin easy, this would be the second time he's beaten someone who gave Teofimo Lopez problems with ease. Will you Teofimo Lopez fans say that Devin Haney will beat Teofimo Lopez in a fight? Or are you still going to stick to with being with your guys saying, no, we still think Tio beats Devin? And if you do that, why are you doing that? Because styles make fights at the end of the day. It's about matching styles. It's about, well, this style goes well with this style. This style may be more difficult. And that's what it is. Which brings me to Pitbull Cruz right now is the weakest link at 140 because he beat the weakest link at 140, which was Rolly Romero, and everyone was trying to get a piece of that title. Liam Perot, undefeated. Great knockout victory over Montana Love. Very tough, solid fighter. Again, like I stated, not that I don't think he deserved a shot at the title, not that I'm making an excuse. I just don't think that for your showcase fight in Puerto Rico, your first fight on Matchroom in the Zone, you derail a potential superstar by stacking the deck, putting the max amount of pressure on someone. It should have been an easier fight. With that being said, Subriel fell into all the traps. He let all the pressure get to him. He showed he wasn't ready for the big lights. And on the biggest stage, he didn't show up. And Liam Perot got the victory. And you got to give it to him because he walked through a lot of punches, a lot of pressure. He showed up to win. The dog in him cannot be denied. I said this before. I say it again. Hey, man, we got to stop putting respect on those Aussies' names because when they come in as the underdog and you come picking them as food, they showing you get food poisoning. They're not showing up to lay down. They're showing up to fight, and you got to put some respect on the Aussie's name. But when it comes to Subriel, for everyone trying to dance on Subriel and act like, oh, he was never that good or he's a hype job, stop it. The dude shrunk under the big lights. That is true. Was he a bit overrated? You can make that argument. I'll even admit I overrated Subriel a little bit. And the reason why I'm saying that I overrated Subriel, he's who I thought he was. But the thing is, for you to be a superstar, you have to be able to deal with distractions. You have to be able to put distractions aside. You have to stay focused on the goal. And most importantly, you have to get bigger as the lights get brighter. And when the lights got brighter and when the lights shine brightest, Subriel shrunk. There's no denying that. The stage was set for Subriel to become a superstar. And if you rewind all the tapes, I kept saying we could see the birth of a superstar. We could see the birth of a superstar. I wasn't calling Subriel a superstar. I wasn't ready to stamp him as a superstar because I needed to see how he would perform under all this pressure, because pressure bursts pipes or it makes a diamond. And we see that Subriel wasn't ready for the big lights. But I wouldn't count him out just yet because T.O. hasn't really shown he's ready for the big lights. Devin on the biggest stage, when all the lights were on him, he got dropped officially 3 times, unofficially 5 times, and he took a serious butt whooping. Pitbull Cruz, he has a loss to tank under his belt, but Pitbull Cruz is solid. I'm not knocking Pitbull Cruz. He's a good option for any of these champions. And Liam Perot rose to the occasion. And sometimes the guy who takes over is the guy you don't see coming. We still got to see more from Liam Perot, but I'm telling you right now, he announced himself to the world as a serious contender, not just a contender, but a serious champion who may unify. So again, that was my takeaway. But Subriel shrunk under the big lights. But I'm not ready to write him off, and we'll talk about why in the next segment. 140 is very interesting. If you don't know, Gary Antoine Russell, he took an L. Undefeated prospect who many people thought may have been the best at 140. He took an L on Saturday as well. So it was a lot that unfolded in the 140-pound division. If you had a chance to watch it, then you were the big winner. Let me know what you think about Subriel and his performance. Do you think he's finished? Do you think he can bounce back? And make sure you check out my next segment. I'm out. Peace.